Hi everyone, welcome to Brush Up on Business, presented by Oral Health Group, a special Brush Up podcast series focused on the business of dentistry. I'm Dr. Jordan Saul, Chairman of Oral Health's editorial board, and today I'm joined by Dr. Carlo Biasucci. Dr. Biasucci is a Canadian dentist, author, and practice consultant. He founded Northern Dental Care in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario in January of 2009. With a guiding philosophy of friends helping friends. To further his training, he completed the core curriculum at the Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies and has taken advanced courses in conscious sedation, implant dentistry, and orthodontics. In addition to clinical work, Dr. Biasucci is also a speaker, business educator, and consultant to other dentists. He is the founder and CEO of Elite Practice, a training and growth solutions organization serving dentists in Canada and the United States. He's authored multiple books, more than 200 articles covering dentistry and professional practice topics. Welcome, Dr. Biasucci.
Thanks for having me.
And as the beginning of each one of our videocasts, I also want to, in the spirit of transparency, let our viewers know that I am a full-paying client of Elite Practice, and I'm thrilled on how what it's doing for my practice. And because of that, this is why I've invited Dr. Biasucci to join us today. So let's talk about the leadership blueprint from overwhelmed dentists, to which I don't know any dentist that's not, to practice CEO.
All right, there's a lot we can talk about here. This is a full day workshop, but we'll condense it down to
20 minutes.
20 minutes, all right, we'll do it.
Can you explain the 3D printer analogy of leadership and how it applies to running a dental practice?
Okay, so if we look at the concept of leadership, if typical dental practice right now, and this comes from my experience in practice where I one day actually counted the number of times I was interrupted during patient hours in a morning to answer a question I had already answered before, and it was 13 times. And so I started thinking, this is crazy. Why am I constantly being, chased down in the hallway to ask a question that I've already answered before? And this is feeding into my backstory, which talked about in the first episode, basically the overwhelm, the stress, the burnout, dealing with team and with all the management of the practice and all of that. And so if I were to, and everyone understands the concept of how a 3D printer works, right? Like I take data, I feed it to the printer, I get a tangible thing that I can see. And my analogy is if I take that same concept and I say, okay, I've got an idea, a vision, a direction for my practice, and I want that to be executed in reality. Wouldn't it be nice if I could take that vision, direction, and put it into a system and have it take shape? And the system not being me, because I can't do everything, I'm treating patients. Well, actually you can. And this comes back to our discussion about the 6 hats that a dentist wears and trying to juggle between them versus can I maybe put some of those hats on my team that I already pay who are capable beyond what I'm getting them to do, they just haven't been trained and empowered to do it yet. And so this is the way that we teach a dental team to level up and to function is within this paradigm where my goal at the end of this is to be able to take my vision, my direction for the practice and give it to the team and have them actually turn this into reality. And so this is a concept that bears out through putting those hats on others, i.e. creating a leadership team within the practice. And even if I only have 4 people as my employees, I can still do this so that everything doesn't fall on my desk for execution. I actually train and empower my team to be able to take things and run with them.
Okay, thank you. What's some of the common signs that a dentist has become the bottleneck in their own business? In other words, they're the biggest obstacle to success.
So you will see, and we all have this, a long list of to-dos. And this is the bane of every business owner. I've got 100 things on my list. I sit down on my time to work on my practice. It's Friday afternoon or whatever's left of Friday, usually for most dentists. And I sit down and I have this list of things I want to work on. And I get through the day and I really only tackled maybe one of them, sometimes none of them, because all these other things had to get done. or I've got this pile on my desk of things that I want to go through, or I've got these emails that I want to look at, or I've got this course that I did that I didn't implement yet. And so this constant feeling of like, I know what I want to get to, I know that I want to change, I just don't know how to do it, or I can't seem to get out of where I am. This is very common for business owners who don't have a system around them to get things done, to get things executed. Another thing that you will see is that there will be this this sort of like boom and bust mentality. Like, I want more new patients, so we're gonna, we need to do marketing. We need to focus on marketing. It's one example. And okay, so we're gonna do this, but then, well, we got busy, so we stopped doing that. And then we see that the patients are still low, so we come back, oh, we need to do more marketing. And then we do maybe one thing, we go to an event, and we get a little bit of a bump from that, and that's great. And then we don't do it again, not because it didn't work, but just because it fell by the wayside. And so these start and stop kind of things are very common as well. This is because the team is not, who has the biggest bandwidth in the practice is not the one that's in charge of or the arbiter of it getting done. It's going through the dentist's hands. If I try to put anything through my hands as the busiest person in the company, well, obviously there's a natural throttling of that thing because I have only so much time. If I can put that onto the hands of a person who's capable and trained to do it, well, that opens up infinite time from a delegation perspective for me.
Watching one of your videos as a member of your program and watching one of the MBA videos, I know that you spend a lot of time talking about distractions. And I want you to talk about what I was really impressed with, and I will tell you, you have a huge influence on me. I'm watching the news less. I will grab the National Post every morning, but I go right to the business section because I just love business stories. And what can I extract from it to maybe take into my office? But just talk a little bit about how you kind of ignore the news, kind of ignore social media. Yes, you understand social media for elite practice, but personally you have no interest. Just expand on how it's a time waster, time killer.
Yeah, so there is no shortage of distractions in our world. I think that the world is extremely well at sucking all of your remaining time so that you have none left for the things that you want to do. If you have an intention to grow your practice and you have 4 clinical days that you're working, typical for most dentists, right? Then I only have so many days in a week. This, we talked about in a previous episode about studying other businesses and what they're doing to really figure out what makes them tick at a high level. When you look at the owners of those companies, they're just really efficient at the same time. So I always wondered, like, how can a person run a company that's 10x, 100x the size of my dental practice in the same 24 hours a day that I have, and I'm struggling? And it is the use of that time. And that's really all it comes down to. So from a distractions perspective, if I'm spending my time, watching, well, first of all, watching TV and the series of the month and binge watching whatever the latest show is on Netflix or whatever, that's to me is absolutely wasted time. It is, what value does that have to me in my life besides entertainment? It's just entertainment. If I want to be entertained, fine, just know that I'm doing that so that I can't have also the expectation that my company should grow. If my desire is that my company should grow, then I should be doing things such that my company will grow. Which means, okay, if it doesn't bring me closer to my goal, am I going to spend my time on it? Am I going to spend my money on that? Or am I going to move in a different direction? So to your point, I mean, if I look at my personal social media, like I might have like one post every 2 years on my, I don't post anything. There's some happy birthday wishes once in a while and that's it. Elite Practice is very active. I don't really know what's going on. We have a person whose job it is to do social media for us on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and wherever else. I don't do it. I don't look at it. And we have guardrails. We have a system around it. I do get to see, here's what's going up here. I skim it. But in our internal chats, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead. I don't go on social media. Reason being, how many times have you opened YouTube to look up something specific? I want to know about how to do this. Or I want to learn whatever. half an hour later, you're like, why am I here? I forget why I even came here. And this is what this time vacuum is for us. So look at the news. I don't know if people realize this, but the same headlines with different characters and different, geographical players today are the same headlines of 10 years ago and 20 years ago and so forth. It's just stuff to keep you watching and reading. I look at it as, and you should know what's going on. I'm not advocating for being like completely oblivious. So as you say, you look at the headlines, agreed, fine. Look at the headlines, know what's going on in the world around you, but enough that you can speak intelligently to it as it relates to you and your business and whatever your interests are. Beyond that, there are things that matter and there are things that I can control. Where those two intersect, that's where I want to spend my time. So if I cannot control it, why do I want to spend my time obsessing about it, right?
So just to share with you, this past summer, I started listening to a podcast series called Founders, David Salina, and he does a podcast on biographies and autobiographies of all the iconic business leaders. And they all, whether they've known each other, different eras, they all have these similar traits. They are so incredibly focused on what they are trying to create. We're talking Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Michael Dell, all of Rockefeller, all of these incredible titans, but it's how they all have these same traits. And I remember one thing that sticks out in my head, that Michael Dell, his parents came to his dorm at Austin, Texas, because he wasn't studying very hard, and his marks were, and his parents were just so frustrated. And they said, Michael, like, what are you doing with your life? And this, at the time, IBM was the big computer company. He goes, I want to be bigger than IBM. As this kid with $2,000 in his dorm room. But he just focused. And what you're talking about, peel away all the stuff. Just focused on your goal. And it's going to work out.
I'm fully agreed. That's how you achieve anything, really, at the end of the day. If you feel like you're entitled to get it, you have zero chance of getting it. Right? If you realize that, okay, I need to, if other people in my space are working an 8 out of 10, and I work at 10 out of 10, not that I'm working harder or more time, I'm just more efficient. And my output is greater, even on less time. Then I will succeed. That's just how it is, right? But it's not about spending, this is a really important thing to distinguish, it's not about spending more time on the thing. It's about being really efficient with the time. Right. So I don't have to work 24/7. I need to actually be, when I'm working. Most of us, if you really peel back the layers, aren't. We're moderately effective at best.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's a lot we can talk about on that, but.
Okay. How can a dentist develop a CEO mindset and overcome the belief that they must do everything themselves?
Good question. So what I have done, what many have done, and I think if you go back and you look at founders and so forth, and in studying others, this is the thing that really comes up. If you want to know how to do a thing, you can either read a million books and trial and error and try to figure your way through it, or you can find someone who's done it and model that. It's a straight path. So if I want to develop a specific mindset and cultivate a specific way of thinking or a specific path to this destination I want to go to, I'm just going to find someone closest to me who has done that and study them. Because, well, if they've already gone through the trial and error and figured it out, why do I want to go and reinvent the wheel? I might find 2 or 3 people like that and try to see what can I pull together, like you mentioned on this podcast, right? Well, if I'm studying the best of the best in that particular scenario, whatever it happens to be, then I already know that just between the tidbits that I'm going to get from here and there, if I can find consistencies or the patterns, if I just follow the patterns, the odds of me not moving in the right direction are pretty low. Doesn't mean I'm going to be Bill Gates if I try to just do what Bill Gates did, but it does mean that I will be more successful if I model success.
You know, what you're talking about, long before your time, there was a fellow in dentistry and practice management named Walter Haley. He was very successful in the insurance industry. He sold out, and then he somehow became involved in dental practice management. And he had this phenomenal quote, or he had a line that I quote all the time: "Why try to originate mediocrity when you can copy genius?" And just look at what successful people are doing, and then just learn how to get it into, modify it for your own circumstances.
Exactly right.
What strategies help create an organizational structure that supports autonomy and accountability?
So this comes back to our conversation about systems and leadership. If we can take a systemized practice, we have a team that runs based on a certain structure, back to the 3D printer model, and we look at, well, if we structure our team in such a way where everyone knows what their role is, and there is clear accountability within the team based on an accountability structure. In business, this is an org chart, right? We know who's in charge of what and what their responsibilities are. One of the things that we teach is that, if two people are responsible for a thing, no one's responsible for it. Everyone has to have their own non-overlapping core responsibilities or core accountabilities. Doesn't mean that people can't work together to achieve that thing. Like if I'm sitting at the front desk and one of my accountabilities is filling the doctor's schedule. Well, if there's 3 people at the front desk, we're all working together on filling the doctor's schedule. But at the end of the day, that the schedule is full is my responsibility. And their responsibility is that the hygiene schedule is full, and their responsibilities, et cetera, right? So everyone has non-overlapping responsibilities. The second is that we actually have some data to track and see what's going on. So are we paying attention? And if there are challenges, bottlenecks that come up, systems that are breaking down, what do we do with that? Because these things inevitably will happen. Instead of saying, well, it's not working, I don't know what to do, what is the process for that? Are we meeting together once a week to talk this out, figure out a solution, figure out a way around that, and then growing together as a result of it? So,
Okay. How do you intentionally build and maintain a culture that attracts and retains top talent, whether it was in your dental practice or now for Elite Practice, the company that you're building now?
So it's a really simple answer. It's easy to say, it's not easy to do. And it really is about intentionality. So we could go into, we have 2 workshops, 2 full-day workshops just on this topic. The intentional building of culture is the thing that I think many people miss. Culture is not a thing that happens. I mean, it can happen. It can just happen organically, and it'll be whatever it is. As you said, originating mediocrity. That's where you're going to end up, right? If you don't try to intentionally engineer your culture. How do you build a culture specifically? So if we look at the 5 behaviors of a successful team, or the flip side is the 5 dysfunctions of a team, which is Pat Lencioni's book that many people have heard about, if not read. And the base layer of that really starts with trust. See, people want to go to the top of that pyramid, and they want accountability and results. That's what everybody wants. But what they don't get is, how do I get there? And if I try to skip the base of that pyramid, which is trust, I'm never going to get up the pyramid. So having trust is the first step to building culture. Well, how do I build trust? How do you build trust with anybody? If I don't spend time with them, get to know them, break bread with them, kind of figure out where do we connect and intentionally try to do that, we're not going to get to a place where we trust each other. We're going to have a conversation that's honest and open, which is the next layer, which is conflict. And productive conflict is actually really important in a team. I need to be able to go to my teammates or even my team leader and say, yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't agree, and here's why. Right. Without fear of being stomped on for that, having a different or a dissenting opinion. Now, it doesn't mean that having conflict for the sake of conflict is good. No, it's productively being able to have a discussion. That allows us to move up the ladder to eventually where we get buy-in, right? I didn't agree with the direction the team was going, but I got to say my piece and I was heard. Okay, and now I can agree, okay, well, this is the way you want to go. I understand why you want to go there. I said my piece, we'll go together. And then we can get this accountability and we can get results. This is a process that takes time. It takes intentionality on how to build it. but it can be done.
You know, as a team, we just did that section in watching the Elite Practice video series about going around each team member. What was your first job? What was your best job? So really getting to know, you know, what was behind, you know, the people, so that you'll think twice before you get annoyed with them. Yeah. You get to know the background of the person. You get to know, you know, family situation a little bit. And you're right, and that helps in the trust building.
Yeah, so we're not all wired this way, right? So one of the big things that we teach is the DISC profile, and we kind of, this is our MO as our own team, and within teams that we teach, we help people understand, you know, you're not all wired the same. We're not all going to think the same, act the same, etc. For some of us, like myself as one example, this natural tendency to want to chat and talk to people and get to know them, that is really like low on my agenda. I am if you know DISC, I'm a C, like right on the edge of right on the fringe. So to me, I'm good with being completely alone. And silence is cool with me. I'm not seeking conversation. I'm not seeking to go and get to know people. I intentionally need to cultivate that in order to do it. I need to be intentional about wanting to do it. But if I don't do it, it's critically, it's a critical failure for me as a leader. I need to do it. So for those who are naturally good at that, well, that's great. But again, see, all this comes back to intentional understanding. Who am I? Who is my team? And what are the things I need to do in order to build this culture that I want? If I don't intentionally do that, then I'm never going to get there.
I don't know if it's DISC or Colby, but I'm a high C, high D.
Yeah, it's just DISC, yeah.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Fabulous chat. And thank you for listening, watching. Be sure to subscribe to Brush Up's email alerts or on Spotify and YouTube to be notified every time we post a new episode. And always, please remember, keep brushing up.